Bienvenidos, hello to everybody. Welcome back to the Michael Talks Football channel. Of course, we reviewed the Euro 2024 with a tier list. We're doing the same thing now for the Copa America. Which teams had a great tournament and have an amazing future ahead of them? Who had a good outing where they can just fix a couple little things? They're going to be a good side for the future. And which teams are just hitting the panic button ASAP? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. How are you feeling if you're Colombian? How are you feeling if you're Ecuadorian? How are you feeling if you're Costa Rican? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Remember to join the Discord. We're talking all things South American, European football. Remember to follow me on Instagram, Twitter. My Instagram got deactivated. Don't know why. Remember to go follow me there. I'm trying to get to 100 followers. 100 followers, people, and that's all I'm asking for. So let's go into every single team, because a lot has happened after the Copa America. But a lot of managers got sacked or resigned. And that is exactly what happened to Bolivia. And Bolivia are just straight up panic button, as the manager of Bolivia is gone, Antonio Carlos Salgo. But this team are just straight up not good enough. We saw in the Copa America, the way they lost to Panama, the way they lost to Uruguay, 5-0, embarrassing fashion. I got 5 on it. No, that's not what Bolivia want. This team and this nation, they don't produce any good young ballers anymore. Yeah, they have a couple decent players, like at Always Ready, Bolivar, the strongest, and these sort of clubs. But you can just see the talent pool is not there compared to like a Venezuela or even a Peru or a Paraguay. Like, at least those teams, you can see that there's some talented players. For Bolivia, I mean, they're straight up nothing. Nada. And it's kind of sad in a way, because I look at Bolivar in the Copa Libertadores and they're a good team. Yeah, okay, maybe you could say altitude and that sort of stuff, but they play good football. And yes, they have a blend of Brazilians and Bolivians. It's Copa Libertadores. It's difficult to go play away in La Paz, but they play good football. So I don't understand how that cannot transition towards the national team. And the national team, they have a very, very bleak future. If they don't fix up and if they don't really just focus on producing talented footballers, Bolivia will consistently get worse and worse and worse. And they might just, hey, we're going to transition to CONCACAF and we'll play against Suriname and these sort of teams. If that's the way Bolivia are going to be in the future in CONMEBOL, because they will consistently be the worst team by far. We go to Brazil then. Brazil, there's some work to be done. I don't think it's panic station. We already knew ahead of the Copa America they were not going to win this. They weren't. They're not the same Brazilian team. And if you want more of a deep dive on my thoughts, there's a video out on the channel right now of talking about the Seleção. In the Copa America, was it the worst? No. Chance creation could have been a little bit better. Maybe being clinical in some certain matches. The Paraguay game, we're like, okay, that's the Brazil we know. Playing fluid football, enjoying the game. Then against Colombia, you saw in the second half, Colombia were the better team. Uruguay, it was just straight up World War III out there. Brazil just don't have an identity. They don't. The players don't fight for the nation. The fans have lost all trust with the side. And it's sad to see for Brazilian football. We look at the league, and the league is really exciting. You know, you got Palmeiras, you got Flamengo. Even though Fluminense are god-awful right now, they won the Copa Libertadores. Brazilian teams dominate the Copa Libertadores. But because all the players play in Europe, we don't see that same sort of freedom. We don't see that same sort of joy when we watch the Seleção. Now, it's just a chore. Now it's just like, oh, we have to watch them because we're Brazilian or we're Brazilian national team fans. It's a sad outcome. And heading into the World Cup in 2026, it is so imperative for this side to just start Endrick and get Estevao quickly onto the national team. Because Estevao, that guy is a talented footballer, and obviously he signed to Chelsea. And Endrick, yeah, he might have struggled big time against Uruguay. I'm not going to lose hope on him just because of one game. No. So there's definitely talented players in Brazil. But they have to build a culture again. Maybe that can happen with Neymar coming back, and they can have like a renaissance period again and be like, hey, we are the Brazil and we're going to show you what we're about. But at the moment, it is some work that needs to be done. Not just the national team, the federation need to fix up big time. And if they don't, then Brazil will still be, I think, third or fourth best team in South America. Colombia are ahead of them, Uruguay are ahead of them, and Argentina are ahead of these guys. It's a sad outcome for Brazilian football. And a team who finished ahead of Brazil at the Copa America is Canada. They had an amazing tournament. Yeah, they might have lost the third place game, even though they were seconds away from beating Uruguay. Let's just go back here, people. Canada were a mess last year. Jesse Marsch took over the side. They built an identity. They looked strong. And it's just so wonderful to see how coaching can make such a difference to a national team or at a club level. And Jesse Marsch has done that immediately with this Canadian side. And I'm sure every Canadian right now is like, when's the next international break? We want to watch this team. The only issue I have with this team right now is just about being clinical because they created enough chances. They looked strong defensively. The midfield looked good. They are in the best position by far of the three hosts heading into 2026. By far. Because of the football they played and they looked like a unit. Whereas in 2023, it was too much of an emphasis being on individuals. But now Canada are a strong unit again like they were under John Herdeman. And they got an amazing future. Let me know your thoughts, Canadians. Are you happy with your national team? What sort of aspects would you like to see improve on? I think the number one thing is being clinical. If they can fix that, Canada are going to be a strong team for 2026. And their goal, if they take a strong team to the Gold Cup, win the Gold Cup. That's a real message of intent. And Canadians got to be happy with their Copa America. I think they did amazing, and they got an amazing future ahead of them. Chile. I don't think it's panic stations. Underperforming and really disturbing Copa America, in my opinion. They were playing amazing football ahead of this Copa America. And I don't know what happened. 0 goals. And they really didn't get close to scoring any goals throughout this Copa America. Gareca, he just has to go back to the drawing board and say to certain players, you're not good enough. We're going to move on. We're going to become a young team and build on that. Now, of course, Chileans will come into the comments and say, Michael, it's all about qualifying to the World Cup in 2026, which I agree. Now that you have Gareca, that is a reliable possibility. But when I watch this tournament, I'm like, we're back to what it was under Berizzo and all the other guys. Chance creation and being clinical. Because defensively, they look good. Osorio didn't have the greatest of tournaments. And Claudio Bravo was still amazing even at his age. But Alexis Sanchez, Eduardo Vargas, and these sort of guys, they didn't show up at this tournament. They didn't. And I think it's not panic station because it's still early days with Gareca. But he wasn't good at all. It was not good at all. And now they go back to the drawing board. And we're going to see now how Chile respond after a disappointing Copa America. Colombia, I mean, come on, people. Amazing future. Even though they lost the final, I think this team are amazing. How they are not top 10, and there was some odds on Twitter, by the way. Remember to follow me on Twitter, people. Link is in the description down below. How they're not top 10 in odds to win the World Cup is beyond me. If you have not watched this team, highly recommend it. The football they were playing under Nestor Lorenzo throughout this Copa America, throughout the World Cup qualifiers, to the friendlies and everything, they are just an amazing team. I will happily pay good money to go to Barranquilla or wherever they play in Colombia to go watch this side. If any Colombians want to invite me, feel free. I will happily get drunk as heck and go watch Colombia because the football they play, the style of play, like Richard Rios to Luis Diaz to James having an amazing tournament to Cuesta who had to come in for Lukumi, he looked great as well. To Mojica, to Munoz, I mean, Colombia, they might have lost the final and it's very devastating and I don't think they played their football at all in the final, and that's because of Argentina as well. But Colombia have a great future. If they can keep playing like this, and they can get, young Cordoba really going, because he was really a huge asset, I thought, throughout this Copa America, then Colombia have an amazing future. I think their goal now, obviously, is to qualify for the World Cup, because they didn't for 2022. And if they qualify, quarterfinal run. I think they can do it. James will be, 35 at the World Cup? Not too old. And maybe that losing that final is going to leave such a sour taste in their mouths. It's going to be like a bad arepa. The arepa wasn't cooked properly. We got to get a good arepa. And I think we're going to see the best of Colombia at the World Cup. And that means a quarterfinal, semifinal run. But Colombians, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Are you happy with your team? I think they should be super proud. This is only their third Copa America final in their history. The football they played, they drew with Brazil. They beat Uruguay in a really tough game. And they took it to extra time against Argentina. And it's just one lapse of concentration that cost them winning the Copa America. But let me know your thoughts, Colombians. Costa Rica, Los Ticos. I mean, what a great outing. It could be amazing future, but Los Ticos, the only issue I have right now is Gustavo Alvaro might be leaving. If he leaves, then this whole project with all of the young players they have, Mitchell, he made the move to Feyenoord. You can see now the young players for Costa Rica are going to make their mark in Europe. And that is just simply amazing. After their golden generation from 2010 to 2018, to see now more Costa Ricans making the move to Europe, love to see it. And during this Copa America, they beat Paraguay and they drew with Brazil. Costa Rica picked up 4 points, more than the USA, same points as Mexico. What an amazing tournament for Los Ticos. I mean, I could say amazing future, but I'll put it for good outing right now because they didn't progress out of the group at the end of the day. But Costa Ricans should be very happy with their national team. I thought they played defensively good football, but against Paraguay, every time they went forward, they looked like they were going to score. I'm honestly shocked at how well they performed. I was thinking 0 points, maybe they could get a point against Paraguay. To get 4 points, take a bow, Los Ticos. Take a bow. Amazing performance by them. Ecuador, I mean, some work needs to be done, for sure. I mean, you guys know my thoughts on Felix Sanchez, and thank God he is gone. Thank God. But that performance against Argentina, why did we not see that throughout the tenure of Felix Sanchez? Why? They were playing good football, defensively strong, and they were so close. If Jordi Caicedo just puts that chance in the 95th minute, oh my God, Ecuador would have picked up their biggest victory ever. I mean, ever. But they didn't. And they lost eventually on penalties, and we knew once it got to penalties, they were going to lose. I think the future is super bright for Ecuador. But now this managerial hiring is a disaster. I'll tell you this right now to all my Ecuadorians out there. If you hire Jorge Sampaoli, be careful. Be very careful. Because that guy, he might have been great with Chile. Since then, Jorge Sampaoli's stocks is looking like the 2008 economy. Don't touch it. Don't. He's not the guy. And now they're trying to go for Almada from Pachuca, who I think is a good manager. I think he would work out with the Ecuadorian national team. But this hiring process, they're just getting rejected left, right, and center like they're on Tinder. And all of the managers are just swiping left. Nah, we don't want you. No, we don't want you. So Ecuador, their main goal is to hire a manager. But a manager who understands, I think, Ecuadorian football. Who understands this is a young team. They have so much potential. And they did show it, I think, throughout this Copa America. You know, they had their good parts, like against Argentina, against Jamaica, and then they had their bad parts, like against Mexico. Now, can you blame the manager? Of course. But maybe the players have to take some blame, like Ener Valencia. Kendry Páez had a decent game against Jamaica, and other than that, you know, he gave the good through ball for the Venezuela game. I think Kendry Páez could have performed a little bit better, but no doubt there's so much talent on this team, but this managerial hiring needs to be on point. If it isn't, we'll be back here in 2 years' time talking about wasted golden generation. Because this is going to be a golden generation for Ecuadorian football. But they have to hire the right manager. All right, USA. Well, I mean, come on. What a disgrace, man. What a disgrace of a Copa America. First time ever in Copa America history that the hosts don't progress out of the group. Venezuela even did that in 2007. But the United States said, hold my beer, hold my cerveza, we're going to outperform that. And they didn't progress out of the group with Bolivia, Panama, and Uruguay. Greg Berhalter is gone. Thank God. Now, there's rumors that it could be Patrick Vieira. Oh, man. I don't know how to feel about it. And I'll talk about it if it does happen in a video. But I'm a little bit worried about that hiring. It just shows that this team didn't have leaders. You know, Timothy Weah doing that stupid red card against Panama. Uruguay, I thought they fought well, but they didn't really create a lot of good chances. So they can compete against good sides. But against the good sides, you need that extra bit more of quality. Maybe the USA are lacking that, or can a top-tier manager take them to the next step? Time will tell. But this Copa America was a disaster. It has so much promise. Like, okay, guys, we're going to have a good outing here, and then heading into the World Cup, it's going to be rosy. We're going to really build up this World Cup and say, hey, the USA are going to make their mark. And instead, it's gotten worse instead of getting better. And that's the saddest part. What was meant to be a good stepping stone, we've taken 10 steps back. So let me know your thoughts, Americans. Are you worried now with the national team, especially with the hiring process? Do you trust the federation? I don't, in hiring the right manager. My choice would be Hervé Renard. That's just my choice. Argentina, I mean, obviously amazing future. Barring all the nonsense that's happened since then when they won it, where we could talk about a dynasty and, you know, the whole Enzo situation with the bus situation. Argentina had a great Copa America. They didn't play the greatest of football, but they did it the most Argentinian way. Struggled at times against Ecuador. I think in some games against Canada, they really struggled at times because Canada did push them. But at the end of the day, they win. They have built such a winning culture within this team that you have to admire it. You know, Cuti Romero, Lisandro Martinez, Dibu, I thought they were amazing. To concede one goal throughout the tournament, that is fantastic. Then you have your hardworking midfield, Rodrigo De Paul to McAllister to Enzo to Lo Celso to Paredes. And the job that Scaloni has done is simply amazing. The guy is a brilliant manager. And hopefully he can stay there forever and ever, because he has now built the formula where they're not relying on Messi. And Messi did have an underperforming tournament, one because of age, and two because he's injured. And he just didn't perform. We can call it how it is, people. Messi underperformed. But he still was key against Canada in the first game. And even in the final, when he went down, this team didn't back down. And that just shows how much of a unit they are. And you can only appreciate and admire that this team from 2014 to 2018 looked like a broken team, even though they made the 3 finals. But now, they're unbeatable. They're simply unbeatable. Cannot wait for that finalissimo game against Spain. That's going to be electric to watch. And Argentina have a bright future. Even without Messi, you know, they have the likes of Echeverri, Julian Alvarez might step up, Lautaro, Garnacho, and all these guys. Argentina have ballers. And they have more and more ballers coming through the academies in Argentina. You know, we didn't even see Valentin Barco, who didn't even get selected. I rate the kid highly. It's an amazing future for Argentina. Let me know your thoughts, people. Jamaica, I mean, was it the worst from Jamaica? No, it wasn't. But Hallgrimsson is gone. And I'm worried to see who they hire. There's been some rumors. I don't know if this is true, Jamaicans. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below if it is. Dwight York? Is Dwight York really going to take over the Jamaican national team? That would be crazy. But they have to figure out this Leon Bailey situation. You could tell that they were missing some difference maker in the team, because Damari Gray wasn't really fit for this tournament. The Venezuela game, they just collapsed. I think they kind of lost all hope in qualifying, and obviously they didn't have a chance of qualifying. But you still got to perform in the last game. And against Venezuela, they just flat out gave up big time and lost 3-0. Mexico, they gave a tough game. Ecuador, they really pushed them, and there's the controversy with the penalty that wasn't given. It's just such a weird national team. They have all the potential, but they don't produce the results. But their main goal is to qualify for the World Cup. And they need a manager who can build an identity. And as a manager who's good in possession. That's the biggest issue for this Jamaican team. They're good out of possession, but what do they do with the ball? How can their midfield create? How can the star players like Mikel Antonio, Shamar Nicholson, Leon Bailey, Damari Gray, how can we get the best out of them? That's going to be the big issue of who they hire next for a manager, because Hallgrimsson is gone. Mexico, obviously, you know, there's panic button. You can see a trend here. A lot of CONCACAF nations in the panic button. But Mexico, you know, Lozano's gone. It looks like they're going to hire Javier Aguirre. I'll talk about it in a video once that's official. Mexico were just one goal conceded. That's the issue. I don't have anything defensively. Cesar Montes and Johan Vasquez were amazing for this Copa America. There was 2 things guaranteed at this Copa America. If you drink Yarritos, you might get diabetes. And 2, they ain't gonna score a goal, Mexico. They're not. The only goal they scored was an Arteaga screamer. Santi Jimenez, poor. Antuna, poor. Julian Quiñones, poor. Everybody was poor. But I know there's talent. There's a player that just made the move to FC Köpenhamn. I think his name is Huescas. I'm excited to see him because I watch a lot of Danish football. I'm going to be excited to watch him. Let's see what he can do. There is clearly talent. But now I'm going to be worried. If Mexico hire Javier Aguirre, are we actually going to see the young talent on the national team? Or is it just going to be the same old, we're going to bring back Henry Martin, maybe we'll bring back Chicharito, who else? Chucky Lozano, hey, Guillermo Ochoa, you want to come back? We're not going to see the actual talent be shown. It's just going to be the same old and same old. Javier Aguirre is a very good manager, but I'm just worried about this team needs new talent. It is so evident. And Mexico throughout this Copa America, they actually looked like a good team, but the attack needs some work. And I think the midfield needs some more creativity. But there is talent. Let's see what the future holds for Mexico. Panama, I mean, look, good outing from them. Great outing. Thomas Christensen, take a bow. Yeah, they got destroyed in the quarterfinal matchup against Colombia and basically lost to Darien Jungle. To make it out of the group with the USA and Uruguay, fantastic. Fantastic tournament by Panama. And they have a very bright future. Carrasquilla, Fajardo really had a good tournament. I'm just so impressed by the work that Thomas Christensen has done. Without him, Panama don't do this. One of the best managers at this Copa America. And he might not be the star-studded name. Oh, who's this guy? Danish dude who's speaking Spanish? What? No. Thomas Christensen is that guy. And Panama have a very good future. And I'm excited to see how they can build upon this. They're going to qualify for the World Cup. I'm not too worried about that, and will be their second appearance ever at a World Cup. Maybe Carrasquilla gets moved somewhere in Europe, who knows. Murillo, obviously he's a really good player, and to think that they didn't have Andrade, he's going to be back into this national team. Panama have a very good future. I'm excited. I want to buy their third kit. I need to get Panamanians. Let me know, where can I buy that third kit of yours? Because it is a fantastic kit. Paraguay, I mean. What do we need to say about Paraguay, people? The worst Paraguay I have ever seen in my lifetime. Ever. And now their manager is sacked. And now they want to hire Gustavo Alvaro. I think it will be their third or fourth manager in the last 10 months. This federation, this national team, panic. The one thing we always associate with Paraguayan football, or the national team specifically, defensively strong. They conceded how many goals? 2, 4, 8 goals in 3 games. When have you ever seen Paraguay concede more than 5 goals throughout a Copa America? To concede 8 in the group stage? And that performance against Costa Rica might have been one of the worst performances I've ever seen from Paraguay. There's so much talent on this team. Julio Enciso, Matias Roja, Gustavo Gomez, Diego Gomez, who didn't even get selected. He's going to the Olympics. Just watch them in the Olympics, people. Watch the Paraguayan U23. And you tell me Paraguay don't have talent. They got the talent, but they don't have an identity. They don't. They're scrambling. Okay, are we a good defensive team? Do we want to be an attacking team? They're stuck in 2 minds right now. They need to just build an identity. Maybe Gustavo Alvaro can do that if he does become the manager. But this Copa America was flat out a disgrace and a disaster for Paraguay. And they are definitely the panic button right now. At least they scored goals at this Copa America. But now it's the defense that I'm worried about, which is crazy to me. It's crazy. It's crazy. Peru, you know what? I don't think it's panic station for them. We already knew before this Copa America that they're not a good side. And that they need to get some new strikers. They need to AI generate some new strikers. Lapadula, I don't think he scored a competitive goal now for 2 years. Yeah, he scored in friendlies. I'm talking about competitive goal. In a CONMEBOL World Cup qualifier, a Copa America World Cup qualifier, you name it. The dude has not scored in 2 years. Then you're relying on Paulo Guerrero. I actually don't have any issues defensively. I think they're good defensively. The midfield, it works hard. They just need a bit more creativity. They don't have a replacement for Cueva, for example. They need that sort of creative spark. And Fossati, I think he did a pretty good job. I think they're going to look back at that Canada game and say, we could have won that game if we just didn't get that stupid red card. Peruvians, I think you guys understand that there needs to be a lot of work done with this national team. But there's a good foundation of, we got a good defense. We obviously got a great goalkeeper. Midfield works hard. The attack needs a lot of work. And I don't really see a lot of young strikers emerging from Peru. So it might be some more dark times ahead. Or we could just see some crazy talent emerge out of nowhere, which is always possible. Uruguay, I think it's a good outing. You have to remember this with Uruguay. They were missing a lot of players. You know, Araujo was a big miss. Nandes was a big miss. The best thing we could say about Uruguay is they have an identity. Yeah, they might have played a little bit too physical, I think, against Brazil, against Colombia in the semifinal. You know, they had the chances from Suarez to Darwin. That's my biggest issue with this team. As much as I like Darwin Núñez, can you rely on him in the big game? He might have done it in the CONMEBOL World Cup qualifiers against Colombia, against Brazil, against Argentina. But Uruguay, with the talent they have, they'll be expecting to make it to the quarterfinal, semifinal of the World Cup. But can Darwin Núñez be that guy? Forlan was that guy. Cavani was that guy. Suarez was that guy. All of those 3 strikers all scored in a World Cup knockout stage. Darwin needs to prove he can be that dude. We saw it against Colombia. Darwin had the chances and he didn't convert. I'm not worried at all about the rest of the team. They got so much talent everywhere. Maximiliano Araujo looked like a really good player. I don't watch much of Liga MX. And I was like, oh, this Araujo guy is good. Pelistri working hard even though he got locked down in the semifinal. And we know the midfield quality. We know defensively they're good. It's just about the attack. They got to be clinical. Scoring 0 goals in the last 2 games in the quarterfinal and semifinal, that ain't great. Yeah, they scored 2 goals in the 3rd place game. I'm not going to take too much account in the 3rd place game, but it was a good outing nonetheless for Uruguay. It's not amazing because I think amazing would have been if they made it to the final or won the Copa America, but still, Uruguay are in a good place for the future because El Loco. Venezuela, last team, good outing as well. First time ever Venezuela picked up 9 points, won 3 out of 3 games in the group stage of a Copa America. First time ever they topped the group. Yeah, they lost some penalties to Canada in the quarterfinal, but they showed it throughout this Copa America and the CONMEBOL World Cup qualifiers. This is a new Venezuela, and I'm loving what I'm seeing. Batista is the right guy for the project. And the ultimate project, and you saw when Sotodinho talked about it, is to qualify for the World Cup. He said, I'd rather qualify for the World Cup than win the Copa America. If that doesn't tell you the objective and the mindset for this national team, I don't know what to say. But they had a great Copa America. I mean, Rondon was sensational. He would be my team in the tournament. Aramburu is an absolute baller at the right back position. I was a little bit disappointed in Yanel Herrera in the last game against Canada because I think he could have taken more control, be a bit more of a creative midfielder. And Sotodinho, I thought, really underperformed at this Copa America. And that's a good thing. If you had some players who underperformed, what have they performed? Then Venezuela could have made it to a semifinal and heck, even the final. But Vinotinto, they should be very happy with this Copa America. Good outing. And now it's all about qualifying for your first ever World Cup. But let me know your thoughts, people. Where would you place Uruguay, Colombia, Venezuela, Ecuador, Jamaica, Bolivia? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Remember to hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, as I will be covering the CONMEBOL World Cup qualifiers. I've already done it for the past couple months, covering the March window, September, October, November, and we're going to do the same thing for the September window. And of course, I'll be covering as well the CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers. So if you want World Cup qualifying content, this is the channel to be. Remember to follow me on all the socials. You can find those in the description down below. But have a beautiful day. Stay safe in this crazy world. And until next time, adios.